In 2008, India began to fund the construction of the aircraft carrier Vikrant, which shocked Chinese military experts. Because China was modifying the Variag aircraft carrier, which later became the Liaoning. China's shipbuilding industry was already quite large at the time, accounting for 29.5% of the global market, but the construction of aircraft carriers still started with modification. The Chinese couldn't understand how India, which had never had experience in building large ships, dared to start building a 40,000 tons aircraft carrier directly. Did the Indians discover the mysterious technology of ancient India from the Mahabharata? 17 years later, China's Liaoning aircraft carrier has long been in service. The Shandong aircraft carrier, which was independently designed and manufactured, was also delivered to the Navy. The addition of the two aircraft carriers has greatly enhanced the strength of the Chinese Navy and accumulated valuable experience for China to build an ocean-going navy. With the help of the Liaoning and Shandong aircraft carriers, China has trained a large number of aircraft carrier technicians, carrier-based aircraft pilots, and trained a large number of naval officers and soldiers, truly becoming an aircraft carrier power. China's third aircraft carrier, Fujian, has completed several sea trials and recently conducted ejection tests for supporting aircraft such as J-15T and J-35. It is getting closer to being delivered to the Navy and forming combat effectiveness. The Fujian, with a displacement of 80,000 tons, is equipped with China's self-developed electromagnetic ejection system. Its displacement is twice that of India's domestically produced aircraft carriers. It is equipped with China's self-developed J-15 and J-35 fighters, KJ-600 early warning aircraft, J-16 electronic warfare aircraft, Z-9, Z-18, and Z-20 helicopters. From power systems to radars, defense systems, arresting cables, and other core components, all are domestically produced. In contrast, India's domestically produced aircraft carrier Vikrant has not yet solved the problem of insufficient power. The zigzag waves at the stern of the ship during its trial voyage reflect that the ship has obvious pitching, which will seriously affect the takeoff and landing efficiency and safety of carrier-based aircraft. India has not equipped it with qualified carrier-based aircraft so far. It has continued to use the MiG-29K purchased from Russia. The carrier-based aircraft uses Soviet-era technology. Due to its small takeoff weight, insufficient bomb load, and the decline of the Russian Navy, it has not been mass-produced, but it has become India's only carrier-based aircraft. India purchased a total of 45 MiG-29K from Russia. Some of them were destroyed due to accidents, and now there are less than 40. In addition, after the maintenance of Hindustan Aeronautics, the crash rate will inevitably increase significantly. The Indian Navy can use no more than 30 carrier-based aircraft. So every time the Vikrant goes to sea, we will see the bare deck. The Indian Navy is considering purchasing the carrier-based version of the Rafale or the F-18 from the United States. Both of these are expensive Western fighters, and the Indian Navy's support capabilities may not be able to keep up. The carrier-based version of the Rafale fighter, like the MiG-29K, is a very niche aircraft with low production and technical reliability to be verified. After all, France has only one aircraft carrier, and the aircraft carrier's technology is not mature enough, and failures occur frequently, so the frequency of carrier-based aircraft is even lower. The F-18 is one of the most mature carrier-based aircraft in the world and the main carrier-based aircraft of the U.S. Navy. However, the F-18 is a heavy aircraft, and the size of the Indian aircraft carrier is not enough. India lacks a catapult system, and it is difficult for the F-18 to take off and land on the Indian aircraft carrier. In addition, Western fighters have high requirements for arresting cables. India does not have domestic arresting cables and uses Russian arresting cables. But Russian arresting cables have not been systematically tested for Western fighters, and it is difficult to ensure compatibility. Arresting cables are consumables and have been imported, which will cause huge expenses for the Indian Navy. Let's take a look at the main components of India's so-called domestic aircraft carrier. The power system uses the LM-2500 gas turbine of General Electric of the United States. The radar and air defense missiles are Israeli technology, and the AK-630M naval gun and MiG-29 carrier-based aircraft are Russian products. It can be said that except for the hull and the curry in the kitchen, which are made in India, all other core components are imported. The special steel for aircraft carriers developed by India has never been rigorously tested or actually used in any large ship. It is directly used on aircraft carriers with extremely high requirements. Once a problem occurs, it is likely to cause a serious disaster. I don't like to curse the Indian military force, but they are indeed the most ridiculous in the world. Let's take the Navy as an example. India rented a nuclear submarine from Russia. After it was returned, the facilities in the cabin were severely damaged, and the poor state of its maintenance shocked the Russians. Fortunately, Russia received a lot of rent, so it only protested verbally. India's domestically produced nuclear submarine Arihant was flooded with seawater when it dived, becoming a global joke. When India's conventional submarine was moored in the port, due to the sailors' misoperation, it injured another Indian submarine parked in the port. At the same time, a violent explosion occurred inside itself and sank to the bottom of the sea, creating the most alternative record in human history. India's Cochin Shipyard, as famous as Hindustan Aeronautics, is a global joke maker, and it has had many amazing historical events. For example, the Indian domestic aircraft carrier Vikrant, which it was responsible for building, was hastily launched after only the bow was built. The ship has been launched 3 times, setting a world record. However, this also satisfied the desire of the people of the Bharat Empire to open champagne. A warship was launched 3 times, which proved the strength of Bharat 3 times, equivalent to 3 aircraft carriers. How great! What is even more shocking is that in 2018, the shipyard maintenance workers threw cigarette butts into the septic tank of the drilling ship, causing a violent explosion and killing 21 Indian crew members on the spot. At the same time, 200 tons of feces were thrown into the air, and the Vikrant under construction was not spared, becoming the only aircraft carrier in the world hit by feces. This incident greatly shocked the Chinese Navy. The entire Navy immediately studied how to defend against India's feces offensive. In case the Indian Navy exerted its strength and threw hundreds of tons of feces from the air, the Chinese really didn't know how to deal with it. In fact, like Hindustan Aeronautics, the fundamental reason why the Cochin Shipyard was a joke was that India's industrial foundation was weak. A country that can't even manufacture qualified rifles is always thinking about manufacturing aircraft carriers. How can there be no accidents? In 2008, China's shipbuilding industry accounted for 29.5% of the global share. In 2024, China's shipbuilding industry is already the world's number 1, winning 75% of the global orders, which can be said to be far ahead. With the support of a strong shipbuilding industry, the Chinese Navy can quickly mass-produce various warships, and the annual tonnage of ships launched exceeds the total tonnage of the Navy of a medium-sized country. China has never regarded the development of military as its main goal. Even in the 1980s, at the beginning of reform and opening up, it sacrificed military investment to make way for economic development. Because the economic base determines the superstructure, this is the most basic concept of governing the country. A country without strong economic strength and a strong industrial base always sets unrealistic goals and dreams of becoming a military power and a superpower. How can it be done? By the way, India's shipbuilding industry will account for less than 1% of the global share in 2024, but the Modi government has long boasted that India will become an important force in the world's shipbuilding industry. To be honest, I am Modi's biggest supporter. As long as he is the Prime Minister of India, I can always find various video materials. I am really afraid that one day he will step down and India will not have so many jokes. At that time, I may have to create a new channel. As for the comments section, some people hope that I will have a debate with Paki Sharma. I must say, Paki Sharma is my goddess. It is extremely ungraceful for men and women to quarrel in China. I just hope that when the myth bubble of Modi and BJP is punctured by reality, her fragile little heart can be strong and survive the difficulties. I can lose her, but the people of the Bharat Empire cannot bear such a huge blow.